Sean Diddy Combs allegedly carried pills with Barack Obama's face on them.
What you're about to hear is not fiction. It's taken from real courtroom testimony. It's dramatic, disturbing, and yes, shocking.
As the rapper's federal trial for trafficking and racketeering continues, his former assistant, David James, shared that he often carried around 25 to 30 undisclosed pill bottles, including a set of pills that had the 44th president's face on them. James said on the witness stand per People magazine, who had reporters in the courtroom, there were various pills, but one was in the form of a former president's face. And when asked to specify the former United States leader, James noted President Obama. E! News has reached out to Obama's team regarding James' testimony but has not yet heard back. Combs' stash of pills, which James testified he regularly traveled with, also included vials of Tylenol, Percocet, Advil, ecstasy, water pills, and pills to, quote, increase.
This is the story of how one of the most powerful men in hip-hop, Sean Diddy Combs, allegedly operated above the law for decades, and how former U.S. President Barack Obama's name came up in court. No one expected this trial to explode the way it did. The courtroom was packed. Everyone thought it would just be another celebrity scandal. But the moment former FBI agent Mark Halperin stepped onto the stand wearing a dark navy suit, the room went dead silent. What he revealed was bigger than anyone imagined. This wasn't just about Diddy and some bad decisions. This was about a hidden system, a network, that stretched from Hollywood to Washington. Halperin didn't just name celebrities, he named Barack Obama. Yes, that Obama, a man known for hope and change, suddenly tied to parties, protection, and possibly even pardons.
The assistant says Combs had 3 handguns in his lap. James said that he feared for his life when Combs ordered him to drive an SUV with Combs in the back seat.
The agent said Diddy wasn't just protected because he had good lawyers. He was protected because he was useful to the powerful. He was a tool, a chess piece, one with dirty secrets, connections, and leverage. And what came out next proved that. Another witness came forward. He was known only as Special Agent Redacted, a top federal investigator from the FBI. He had spent over 2 decades tracking Diddy. 2 decades. He opened a black folder, stared straight ahead, and said it. I've been tracking Mr. Combs and his enterprise for over 20 years. What's new is, we're finally allowed to talk about it. That statement hit like a bomb. He said investigations into Diddy started in the late 1990s. The FBI followed suspicious money trails, fake companies, and shady overseas connections. They even had solid proof during a money laundering sting in 2001. But right when they were ready to move in, the order was denied. Just like that. Why? Because the higher-ups said no. Files went missing. Witnesses were moved. Investigators got reassigned. It wasn't coincidence. It was cover-up. From 1999 to 2013, every time Diddy was linked to crimes, trafficking, assault, fraud, something stopped the case. A witness disappeared. A federal agency delayed action. And then came the real twist. In 2003, the FBI believed Diddy was under unofficial informant protection. Not the kind you see in the movies. The real kind, the kind that's not written down, not talked about, not recorded. That kind of protection can only be authorized by someone extremely powerful. There were only 3 people in the federal government who could have given that kind of order. Diddy knew exactly who they were. And that's where Obama comes in.
Diddy's trial is back from a long break, and his former assistant Capricorn Clark took the stand. Right now they're on a break, but she just finished with the prosecutor. She talked about the alleged lie detector test that lasted 5 days, the fact that Diddy threatened her, Cassie, and Kid Cudi, that he would unalive all of them, and so much more. On the stand, it was said that she was shaky, she was nervous, and that she cried multiple times, but let's get into her testimony. Before working for Diddy, she said she worked for Def Jam, and then she worked for Death Row Records, which was run by Suge Knight, who had issues with Diddy. When she worked for him, she was his personal assistant and global brand director, and worked for him from 2004 to 2012. And then in 2016, she came back as Cassie's creative director. Her very first day working for Diddy, she said he took her to Central Park after dark, and he said to her, "You used to work for Suge Knight. If anything happens, I might have to unalive you." He said his security, Uncle Paulie, stood by, and she took that very seriously.
The courtroom froze when Agent Redacted said the name. Even the judge stopped writing. The agent showed a photo from 2005. Diddy standing beside then Senator Barack Obama. Another photo from 2007, Diddy at a private off-the-books event in D.C., listed under a fake name. These weren't just random photos, these were meetings, closed-door sessions. The agent said Diddy was involved in intelligence sharing, trading favors, giving up info on other artists, helping campaigns, in exchange for protection. The defense shouted, "Objection!" but it was too late. The prosecution had proof: emails, travel logs, memos. One internal memo referred to Diddy as a cultural liaison asset. In 2009, right after Obama became president, the FBI submitted a request to wiretap Diddy. Why? Because they had evidence Diddy was laundering drug money through his companies. The request was denied. When asked who denied it, the agent flipped to a page showing a call log from a White House-linked legal office. The name was blacked out, but the timestamp matched the moment the wiretap was pulled. The courtroom gasped. The agent made it clear. He wasn't saying Obama personally protected Diddy, but he was saying Obama's administration helped create a pipeline of protection that let Diddy avoid justice.
Then said she told Diddy, "I didn't have anything to do with that stuff, but they objected, so we have no idea what she was going to say." She was asked if she had ever seen Diddy with a weapon, and she said yes, and it was a time where Diddy had issues with 50 Cent. She said there was an elevator ride in the early 2000s after an MTV event. Diddy had just appeared alongside 50 Cent, and things had gotten awkward, and he turned to his manager in the elevator and he said, "I don't like all the back and forth, I like pew-pews." She said she took that as a real threat.
Then came another bombshell. A high-res photo showed Diddy, Obama, and Reverend Al Sharpton together. Not at a public event. This was a dimly lit gathering on private property, a billionaire's estate in Martha's Vineyard. On the guest list, CIA assets, arms dealers, entertainment execs, and known traffickers. Diddy wasn't there as a guest. He was there as a messenger. In return, his sins were forgiven. In 2012, the FBI caught one of Diddy's close associates red-handed. Girls, drugs, wire transfers. But within 48 hours, the case vanished. Why? A phone call from Capitol Hill.
Then goes on to talk about a lie detector test that lasted 5 days after Diddy found out his jewelry was missing. She said she was asked to transport high-end diamond jewelry that was on loan from Jacob the jeweler, and when she got to the airport, the bag of jewelry was missing. He went off to Miami and left her behind with his security, Uncle Paulie. He said Uncle Paulie questioned her for 3 hours, and then he drove her to a rundown building where he left her there to take a lie detector test. The place was still under construction, but he took her up to the 6th floor and locked the door behind them. He described a man who was sitting at a folding table being 5 times the size of her, sitting there chain smoking. The man allegedly told her, "You're here to take a lie detector test, and if you fail, they're going to throw you in the East River."
One line from an email read, "Don't ask why this got buried. Just be glad you're not in the room." Things got darker. In 2015, Diddy flew to Haiti, Colombia, and the Caribbean. The FBI thought he was partying, but intel showed he was meeting with cartel financiers, hosting yacht parties with underage girls, some tricked into coming by being told they were auditioning for American Idol. Then came the tapes. In one of Diddy's LA homes, a secret surveillance room was found. Over 30 monitors, hidden cameras, people being filmed without knowing. Bedrooms, pools, studios. Some of the footage passed through federal hands. It showed celebrities, business moguls, and even politicians in extremely vulnerable situations. Was Obama in any of those tapes? But his donors, friends, and allies were.
Said she had wires strapped to her. She was terrified and nervous, and the man said, "I can't get a good reading. You need to calm down or you're going in the river." She was taken home later that day, but for 5 days straight, it would continue. Uncle Paulie would pick her up, take her to that building. She would get strapped and have to take the lie detector test. When she returned to work, Diddy never asked her where she had been, and she doesn't know if the jewelry was ever found. Asked why she didn't go to the police, she said she was under an NDA, and Diddy's attorney objected, and they had to move on. In terms of working conditions, she said she had to work from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. On a good day, she'd get 4 hours of sleep.
Diddy knew their secrets. He kept the tapes as leverage. And that wasn't all. In 2016, the FBI got a warrant to seize hard drives. But when they arrived, the server room was on fire. Arson confirmed. The fire started just 20 minutes after the warrant was approved. Someone had warned them. One surviving drive was recovered. It showed Diddy using blackmail, protecting himself by holding evidence over powerful people. Then came the CIA. A declassified memo from 2012 revealed the agency labeled Diddy a high-value cultural influencer. He was never officially recruited, but his parties, connections, and information gave them data, valuable data. So they turned a blind eye. He was flagged for connections to arms dealers, traffickers, and bankers. But he kept operating. No arrests, no charges, because they benefited from him. Then came the ledger, wire transfers, shell companies, money going to political consultants, lobbyists, and even a man tied to a 2015 human trafficking case that mysteriously disappeared. This wasn't just Diddy being sneaky. This was a machine, funded, protected, and unstoppable. And finally, the blacklist file. Recovered in 2022 during a raid in New Jersey, the FBI found a climate-controlled vault. Inside, Polaroids, tapes, handwritten notes, transcripts from hidden mics, many from clubs Diddy frequented. Some names, executives from major record labels, 2 former White House aides, and initials believed to mean BO and RS, with phrases like payoff confirmed and donation received. No tapes of Obama were found, but the connections were too strong to ignore. This wasn't just Diddy throwing parties. This was Diddy building a shadow empire. One tape, one favor, one threat at a time. Then, the final blow. A recorded phone call from 2015. Diddy allegedly says, "I brought in the dollars, I brought in the artists. We flipped 5 precincts blue last cycle. If I go down, some of y'all are coming with me." That call shook the court. It wasn't about rap music anymore. It was about votes, elections, power. By the end, even the judge looked shaken. The man once seen as a music mogul was now revealed as something else entirely, a puppet master behind the curtain. He didn't just buy silence, he bought relevance. And the scariest part, he did it with everyone watching and no one stopping him. So now the question is, how many more names are in that file? And how far does this shadow empire really go?